All right, Doc. Doc, how's your week been going on?
My week's been great, very productive. Yeah, very productive on the business side, so that's good. That's really
Beautiful.
good. My week's been great. Also, just got some good news this morning that I was finally approved to be a
The business is freedom, success, freedom, change, success. Guys, if you're looking for somebody to look at this, if you're watching in the comments, freedom, success, change with Doc here, that's the professional side of what we do here at Boundaries and Brotherhood. Please reach out, guys. But as I get set up, Doc, give the viewers what we're going to be doing while I get this all set up for us.
All right, gentlemen and any ladies who also may be watching. Today, we are going to be talking about how masculine men become simps in marriage.
What? That's
Yeah,
a,
yeah, it is possible. It is possible. You know,
that's wild. That
yeah.
is so wild. Have you been seeing that type of situations? Profession, actually.
It's hard to say because the guys come to me, they come to me as they are, right?
Okay.
And I'm not aware of what they used to be like. So I don't know if they were out there like dominating and being assertive and having boundary. I don't know if they were doing all that beforehand. I only know how they are now, right? And also for any of my clients who might be watching this, I'm not saying you guys are simps or anything like that. I'm saying, he asked me a question and I'm just saying I
Yes.
have
No,
not
guys.
anything like that, right? Put that out there. I still want my license and everything. So no, I can't really say. But we know, I was watching a clip this morning that I would talk to you about, or a video, I should say, where the guy was talking about our desire for duty, our desire to take care of everybody in our circle, and that idea of being a man, doing whatever it takes to take care of everybody else, lends itself very well to us, unfortunately, becoming simps and at our own expense, right? As an honor to sacrifice for my family, and I'm sacrificing myself, and I don't have any needs, and I'm just doing whatever my wife wants and just trying to make her happy and all those things like that. And unfortunately, because we abandon ourselves in pursuit of what we think is our duty, we end up, unfortunately, in that state we can end up in that state as a sin.
Right.
And here's the thing, it's a key caveat. I think it's really important. This is not talking about the guys who do that, but yet there are people pouring back into them. It's not talking about like you're a guy, you're really giving it all for your family, and your wife is there supporting
That's the
you. We're not
difference.
talking about that. It's a big
That's a
difference,
big
right?
difference. Yeah.
We're talking about the guy who's doing that with the hopes that he will get that from everybody else, and he doesn't, and he thinks that if I do more and more and more and more and more, then I'll finally get it. This is the guy whose wife has said, like, I just want you to figure out what I need. And now he's trying to actively figure out what she needs, as opposed to just saying, no, you're either going to tell me what you need or you're going without.
Right. Dude, no.
Yeah.
This one I need. But then this is where the name of our channel is called Boundaries and Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to have boundaries even in your relationship with your wife. I'm
Yes.
married, Doc is married, kids gotta have boundaries. Everybody's gotta have boundaries. But sometimes you just need that person, Doc with his education, me with my experiences, wisdom, dealing with this stuff, to have the capacity to deal with it, to tell another man to do that. It
Yeah.
makes it understandable because what I see in the dating world now and these men doing this, even like I had a guy that I used to work with, he paid for strippers' boobs, but didn't get one, didn't get the, he didn't do hit the cheeks.
Oh,
But I'd be like, why do you do that? He goes, oh, it's an investment. Investment in what? She's already tagging somebody else while you're paying for her boobs and doing that. But this is not what we're talking about because
yeah.
he was like a masculine, okay, type. I would say, okay, he was good head on his shoulders, but let's say call it for what it is. If you're pussy whipped, this is what happens.
Yeah.
What's your take on that, Doc? Because that was, it still bothers me.
For one, I mean, I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure that when you invest in something, there should be an idea of a return on the other side. Unless this man was a owner of a strip club, or I don't want to say a pimp because pimps, that's not a good thing. But the idea is I'm investing in you so you can go make me more money. That's the idea. So bad investment, but I think the idea that The
They
idea that
made
you pay
excuses.
for, yeah, the
Yeah.
idea that you just paid for a woman to have a breast augmentation, to have bigger breast,
Mm.
in hopes that you were going to be able to sleep with her, that's
No
bad.
bueno.
Yeah,
No
no,
bueno.
that
Bad.
that is. I mean, no offense to your friend Gordon, but that is simp behavior. Him trying to buy your affection or buy or earn it. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. Women don't even like that. Like that's the thing. He thought he was, oh, she's going to like me because I paid all this money to have her breast augmented and changed and everything. She might be like, oh yeah, that's great for me. I get to go do that, but that's not like, oh, I'm in love with you. That's not how that works at all. I think a big thing, if you're not making a woman feel secure in some way, shape, or form, you're not going to keep her,
That's
period. It is impossible to keep or please a woman if you are not confident in yourself. Impossible. Because she's not going to look at you as someone who's secure, a safe place for her. She's not going to look to you for that. Right? She's going to look at the guy who's talking to her at work,
right.
the
Right.
guy who's pushing past her, nah, I'm married or I have a boyfriend. He ain't worried about him. Tell
Yeah.
me about you, the guy who's not willing to let people just walk all over him, right? The guy that has boundaries, he knows himself, he knows what he wants. He's not chasing behind any woman. So that's what women want. They don't want the guy they can just walk over, who they can just use. They don't want that. They want a guy who can stand up for himself and say, nah, it stops right here. That's it. Yeah.
From your experience, what is a simp in clinical terms, and then your personal version of that?
Oh, I would say in clinical terms, it's a man that just does not have any boundaries, does not stand up for himself, and does have a level of insecurity where he finds that he's trying to earn validation from outside. Like his validation comes from outside. So he feels that if I do enough, I'll be good enough and I'll finally be loved. I'll finally be accepted. I'll finally be wanted. When unfortunately, it doesn't operate that way. You have to know that you're enough. Like once you know that you're enough, that's when all that stuff comes. But if you don't
Right.
know you're enough, that stuff never comes. So unfortunately, looking at what a simp is, and this isn't about tearing anybody down, but just looking at what a simp is, it's a man that's insecure who's trying to earn external validation to make himself feel better about himself. And it just doesn't work that way.
Are you seeing this come in from all type of different types of guys coming in professional practice? Because what I'm seeing in the dating scene, or people that's looking out, like say online rather in person, and the feminist movement, the red pill movement, all this crap that's going out there,
Mm-hmm.
and women are wondering why they're not getting the men, because they've turned men into simps, and the ones that got simped got hurt before.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with certain things, like from a personal standpoint, what are the different types of simps you're seeing in coming to you?
Well, I mean, you see it across the board. And I'll also say this, it's not something that I think guys choose. It's not like there's a guy being like, oh, I want to be like that. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
just yeah.
Right? There's a lot of lines that get crossed, a lot of mixed signals or whatnot. Like, because you're told to be, you got to be a leader, provider, protector. And to be a man, you got to do it alone. And all this, you can never ask for help and all these things like that. Or your job is to make sure everyone else is good. And so we take that, internalize it, and up it to the 10th degree. And before you know it, it's like, dang, we don't let ourselves completely and totally
Oh,
go in the service of, we'll talk about relationships, specifically our wife, our girlfriend, right? That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's not what they want. And then on top of that, you have like women saying, oh, I want my guy to be like this. I want to be like that. I want to be nice and kind. I want him to be empathetic. And they talk about all the soft stuff. And that's not bad, but out of context, it is bad. And so now you have this mix, right?
explain
Well,
that.
because out of context, like we talked about in the 11th Man video, like the nice guy finishes last. The nice guy never gets in the race, right? So when it looks like, oh, being a nice guy is a bad thing. And then women are saying they want a nice guy. So it's all out of context. What they want is the nice behavior, but they want a guy that is secure,
That's what it
you
is.
know?
They want the
And so
behavior. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Mm.
but no one's talking about it. Like, not no, it's all this like gender war and men versus women and feminists and red pill and all this garbage like that. But no one's stopping to say, okay, well, what is everybody talking about? What do we actually mean? No one's sitting down to talk about that. That's why we're talking about it, kind of break it all down and
Right.
recognize that there are people that are trying to separate everybody, for money. They're trying to separate them for views. They're trying to cause all this
Basically.
division, stir up
Yep.
emotions and everything like that. But we're not here for that. We're here to take that message like, yeah, if you're a nice guy, there's some things you got to change in yourself. Don't stop that behavior. You still be loving your wife, or your girlfriend, or your kids, or whatever. You still should be, pouring into them. You still should be providing. You should still be able to say, no, we're not doing that. No, you've gone too far. I don't know who you think you're talking to. You need to sit down somewhere. This conversation's done and over with. We need to be able to have that boldness, right? Like we talked about earlier, when your wife or your girlfriend's like, I just want you to know. Like this is some type of Fabio romance novel where, oh, he could just read all of my needs. No, open your mouth and say something. You're a full grown adult. Enough's enough. I'm sorry, ladies, I'm gonna get on you real quick. Enough is enough. If you have a need, make it very plain and make it known. I want flowers. I want you to take me out on dates. I want it every week. Whatever it is, make it known. Don't drop, well, we're going to drop hints. Closed mouths don't get fed. And if you have a man, that's the crazy part because you have a guy who wants to do that for you already. The guy wants to take care of you already, but you out here trying to make it hard for him to take care of you because you don't want to
Yep.
open up and say you don't want to communicate properly. Come on, like we got to do better than that. We got to do
But like
better.
like you said earlier, it comes down to the behavior and what they want to do because men want to be told what you want because we're simple. You mean even when I talked to Carrie, she did one thing about perceived attachments, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why she watches it because she goes, "Man, Doc is so on point," and this is why we're gonna start moving to the 11th man workshop where you might be a masculine man being simped or you think you're doing something you have no direction. You might need to get out of a depressive mode so you don't do something really stupid. This is what our workshop is going to be about. Because the big promise, if you work with us, you will become a different person in a matter of sitting down with us and figuring out because of the clarity that you're going to get. Let me ask you this personal question. How do you see masculine men turn into weak simps? Is it for the wrong reasons, the right reasons, or made up reasons?
I think it's for the wrong reasons, right?
Okay.
I think it's for the wrong reasons. And then, and it's also something maybe we can actually do a video about what it means to be masculine as well. Because I think that even sometimes the definition of what we think masculinity is can be part of the reason as to why we as men will end up turning to simps without even knowing it, right? We'll hear like a honeydew list and things like that. Because again, if we abandon ourselves, name of fulfilling a role, then we end up becoming this very same thing we've been against the whole time.
Right. Right.
Because again, part of being masculine is being able to have those boundaries and say enough is enough. It's being able to stand up for yourself. It's being able to take care of yourself. It's being able to make sure these are my needs and they need to be met. And under no other circumstance, like they need to be met. And I'm not talking about being domineering. I'm not talking about having ultimatums. I'm not talking about stuff like that. But I'm just saying you're able to clearly communicate. These are my needs. These are expectations. This is what I want to happen. If we're going to be in a relationship, this is what needs to happen for me. This is what I'm missing. Being able to do that. But too often what happens is we silence ourselves. We stop talking or we never learn how to communicate or whatever the issue might be. And then slowly but surely, we just keep doing and we do and we do and we do. And unfortunately, because we're not speaking up for ourselves, women are like, well, just continue to do more. Or that's not enough. I need you to stand up for yourself. I need you to have boundaries. I need you to protect me. I don't feel safe. They're saying that, but they're not saying it with those exact words. But that's eventually what ends up coming up over and over again. But we just take it as, and because it's not being said clearly, but we end up taking it as, well, I'm just not doing enough. Maybe if I just do more and more and more. And then we end up getting bitter. We end up having resentment because we shut ourselves out. We put ourselves on the back burner, and no relationship can survive that way. No masculinity can survive that way. There were a lot of guys, I'm not advocating for divorce, but there were a lot of guys on there that said that they had to get divorced before they finally realized the error of their ways. And then once they realized the error of
Oh
their
wow.
ways, they said their life changed drastically. Now, I can't verify the comments, but I can understand. It's like, oh, shoot, I was putting myself on the back burner. I had
Uh-huh.
no boundaries. I was just letting people do whatever they want. I had no confidence. I can see how, by turning that on afterwards, how their life could drastically get better if you've been in a marriage for 10, 15, 20 years,
Yeah.
never being considered, never being thought of, just thinking you have to work and serve everybody else. Like
Yeah.
I
I
could,
mean, that's a recipe for disaster. This is why I can see why men get divorced in that because their needs wasn't met not just physically because of the respect wise or just getting ran over for so many years and doing things. I mean, speaking from experience with myself right now, it's like, okay, I'm not the breadwinner, but I'm the caregiver with my kids because I'm raising men. I
Yeah.
want them to have a childhood. I want them to have certain things. I want them to have attention. I want them to, because I know the phase in their life, what I'm doing for them right now, the sacrifice I have right now,
Hmm.
shapes their maturity level down the road. So I'm
Hmm.
looking at the bigger picture. Sometimes I doubt myself, was it the right reason? Am I cool being Mr. Mom? Sometimes I'm thinking to myself, like, it is the right reason because they can come to me for everything. We do experiments, we do stupid shit, we do all kind of crazy stuff that I want them to be kids because I know I messed it up before in my past relationships and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Let me ask you another question. What are the different types of weak men or simps?
Different types. What do you
Gotta be
mean? Like,
types, right? Like, there might be I might make an example. I might be a man that's what you just gave through going through marriage, and all of a sudden he realized it. There might be a man dating. Don't oh let's take that one. A man dating today in modern times with the feminist movement. How are they getting simped, and how should they change?
so I would say, let's talk about from the dating standpoint, right?
Yes,
So those men, if you feel those guys that they feel like they need to serve, then I need to prove that I'm good enough.
prove.
Any guy who feels it has to prove myself, I have to prove that I'm man enough, then you're going to engage in simp behavior. You're going to be the one taking her to, on the first date, the $300 dinners. You're going to be the one that's overdoing it with the messages and, oh, she didn't contact me back soon enough. Or, you're going to be the one that's seeking that validation from her. You're going to be doing that. You're going to be
That's
pushing these
huge.
women away in droves because they're going to be like, ew, I don't want someone who's clinging like that.
The ick. Oh, they call it the ick.
Yeah, the ick, right? You might have the women that are like, oh, shoot, yeah, let me use this guy, drain him as I'm here with this other guy. He has the persona of
Right,
masculinity,
right.
and I'm going to let him, I'm going to sleep with him, but I'm not going to give this guy over here or anything. I'm just going to let him just kind of keep using them and kind of stringing them along.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
that kind of like that video we made a couple of weeks ago where the guy was like, "Nah, I'm not here to play games. You want me to chase you? I'm not chasing you. I'm here. I'm a grown man. I want you. If this isn't what you want, then we don't got to continue. You know,
Perfect.
I'm not taking you to a $300 dinner out the gate. You're not my wife. This isn't an anniversary. We
Right.
going to Starbucks.
You're just getting to know each other over a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
What recommendations would you give for these modern men? In fact, let me take that back. In your practice, the type of men that come to you are usually in the dating scene or getting after trying to rebuild themselves up from simp trauma.
I would say most of the guys that come to me are already married. I would say they're either already married
Oh,
or they're
okay.
in a relationship. Most of them are not necessarily single, which is why I moved my specialty into working just with men and relationships because I see that dynamic over and over and over again.
Does
But
it come up a lot though?
oh, what as far as like simping or
Yeah, I mean,
I
because
think
they put a label to it now, right?
well taking the label off, right?
Take the label off. Yeah.
But looking at the behaviors, right?
Yes.
That I think happens a lot, and
Okay.
even with me and myself as well. Like at one point in time, like we as men define ourselves by our roles as leader, provider, protector. And when it comes to simping, we're focused heavily on the provision aspect. You think about simping, right? It's usually not about leadership. It's usually not really about protection. It's usually about provision. I'm giving you something. I'm
Provision.
providing you with something, right? I'm giving you value. And so therefore, the hope and expectation is that I will get that value back in return. But unfortunately, it just does not work that way. See, when we're operating in those roles as men, we're not doing it because I'm trying to get something back. I'm doing it because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's who I am. I'm doing it because of who I am, not to get something back. So then the whole system gets kind of jacked up at that point because then we're supposed to be doing it because it's our role, but instead we're doing it to get something and we're not getting something. And so then we feel if we ramp it up, we'll get something, and it never works. And so now we feel like we're not loved. We feel like we're not desired. We feel like we're not cared for. We feel like nobody loves us. No one cares about us. We feel like we just have to suffer alone. And then unfortunately, we go down spiral downward because ultimately, Gordon, aside from the relationship, right? whether women respect you or not, whatever, there's a greater epidemic or pandemic going on with men who are feeling completely and totally isolated and alone,
Isolated. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then they feel like, dang, well, what's the point of even being here? My wife
Yes.
doesn't care about me. My
Yeah.
kids don't care about me. Nobody
Yeah.
cares about me, no matter what I do for anybody. What's the point of even being here? I might as well just take my own life. And it's like,
Right. It is a
bruh.
pandemic.
So it's so much deeper and dangerous than just, oh, get the girl, right? You can get a
Yeah.
woman,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you are not good, and kind of back to your question, like what should a man do who's trying to date, who has this mentality? Step one, stop trying to date because you're not ready for that yet. Stop trying to date
Internally.
internally. Like
Internally.
you
Yeah.
know, if I'm in this space where I'm seeking that outside validation desperately, that's a massive, massive red flag for you, a huge red flag that you need to just stop because your relationship is not where you're supposed to be getting external validation. That's not what
Correct.
you're seeking
Correct.
that. It's
Correct.
nice if it comes, but if you're not enough to validate yourself, if you're
Yeah.
not confident, like, hey, I can get up and walk away. If she gets to walk away, like, I'm good. I'm gonna finish my food. I'm gonna finish my drink, and I'll leave. I'll be fine. If you're not in a spot right like that, if you don't have like an ambition and a goal, you're striving towards something greater than yourself. If you're not in these places, I'll be honest, you're really not ready to be dating, right? Because there are certain prerequisites that make dating so much easier, make marriage so much easier. And it's very difficult when you get married and these expectations are there and you're not even nowhere near ready to even touch those. So
It
now you're
is
dealing with your own
instructionary.
insecurities, you're dealing with your own passion, your own purpose, while still trying to take care of her, but you don't really know how to do that because you can't even take care of yourself. And you see the
Oh man, it just snowballs.
it's messy. So you really got to focus on yourself first. And even those who are in relationships, like, dang, Keith, I'm already a year in, 2 years in, I'm already married. I'm not saying like up and leave, but you have to understand and recognize that for your relationship
Yes.
even to get better,
Yes.
you got
Yes.
to focus on yourself first. You got to get your confidence in place. You got to be able to have that validation for yourself, recognize, switch it, and start thinking, okay, I have to validate myself. What's good about me? Right? I'm
Right.
proud of my work. I'm proud of my contributions. I don't care what anybody else says. I know I'm doing good work. You got to get to that point. Then you can see it's a lot easier to stand up and say, nah, I don't like that. Nope. That boundary's been crossed. Don't do it again. Nope. So that would be my advice to the guy who's trying to date, the guy who's in the dating game, the guy who's married, like anybody. You got to stop and you got to start focusing on yourself. Recognize I got an issue, I got a problem, I got to handle it. I'm insecure, I got to handle it. I shouldn't be seeking for my wife. I should be able to go to my wife and not just wait for her to want to initiate intimacy. I should be able to go to her and be like, hey, baby, I'm trying to get something tonight. Like, what's up? Like, what are we trying to do? I know it's kind of like, but you get what I'm saying,
There's
right?
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we got to be in a spot like that, right?
Yeah,
But to get
there's
that, we got to do the work.
at that point you should be confident in yourself and you should have respect for each other that it's okay. I mean, it's to the point where how does man that went kind of deep because you went off on a good one because the modern man, the dating, this is where you gotta draw yourself to having that behavior, having that confidence, getting over yourself, being able to fulfill that authentic self in you as the 11th man, not the other 10 personalities that you might have that you think is right,
Mm-hmm.
or the validation from social media, from another girl, from your boys that want to do this. Some of them boys are stupid anyway, but they're just trying to do the same thing, also. But how does that turn into that type of personal trauma moving forward?
Honestly, I wouldn't even say
If
turn
you
in.
want to call it trauma.
I would say because there's a lot of guys that experience, and whether you call it trauma or just the perspective and experience they had growing up. But as far as that's concerned, you have to stop and recognize it. Where did that come from? Where did that people pleasing stuff come from? Right? Maybe it worked when you were younger. Maybe you were trying to please your mom. Maybe you're trying to please your dad. Maybe you're trying to please your teacher. Maybe that's how you learned to get along. Maybe you see that validation when you were younger because you were a yes man in the classroom or a yes man at home. It worked. You did get validation. You got the pat on the head. You got the good boy. You got the good grades and things like that. But then, unfortunately, that doesn't continue on, right? Eventually, it's like, no, it doesn't work anymore. Eventually, someone's like, no, I don't need you just to say yes. I need you to speak up. I don't need you just to do. I need you to push back. Because just as an example, using finances, there's a lot of guys that just, whatever their wife wants financially, they either do it or try to make it happen, even if it puts them in financial ruin.
That's
That,
crazy.
that's a big problem. You should be able to tell your wife, nah, we can't do it, or no, we're not going to do it that way. or we got to find a better way to do it, or hey, we're gonna have to wait or something. You got to be able to do something like that. But how can you do that if you've been a yes man your whole life? If you've been taught like, oh, your job is to please your wife or to please your woman, like, and things like that. Gentlemen, it is not your job to make your wife happy. It's not your job to make your kids happy. It's not your job to make your boss happy. It's not your job to make anybody happy but yourself. Right?
Bottom line, hands down.
You can't. It's not your job.
Yeah.
Right? So if you see something going wrong, and you're just like, well, it'll make her happy.
No,
You might just have to be unhappy.
To make
Sorry,
it
we can't go
grateful.
on that trip. This thing came up. We can't go on that trip. And she might be mad and pissy and not want to talk. It's okay. She'll be all right. I promise you. She'll be all right. If you're standing on principle, she will be all right.
Standing on principle.
It's not your job. Like, I think that's part of the issue, though, Gordon. Like,
True.
you think
True.
provision. I'm also supposed to provide you with this emotion of happiness all the time. No, happiness is something that we as individuals decide, right? Like that's what we decide. We either choose to be happy or we choose to be miserable. How many times have you tried to do all these great things from your wife and she still might be miserable?
She's still going to be miserable because she's not happy with herself.
Exactly. And then you feel like I'm not good enough because I can't make her happy. No, bro, that wasn't your job in the first place. You're pouring water into a bottomless hole. It's never going to happen.
That relates.
And you know what, Gordon? Like, we do that, and then when we do that, we feel so bad. Like, man, I can't please her. I can't please her. I can't make her happy. Homeboy, that's not your job. It's just not your job.
But how many people realize that?
Not enough.
Exactly. Not enough. That's what we're here for.
Exactly. Because once you take that pressure off yourself, like, oh, it's not my job to make her happy.
Yeah, the pressure.
And again, here's the beautiful thing about it, Gordon. Since it's innate in us already as men to lead, provide, and protect, it's not like we're going to stop doing that stuff. We're just not worried so much about, well, I'm going to say what I need to say. I'm going to do what I need to do respectfully, of course. And whether she likes it or not, that's hers to deal with. If I'm communicating the right way, being respectful and everything like that, and she doesn't like it, that's hers to deal with.
True.
Yeah, we need to get to that point, because how many times have we as men said, I don't want to have the conversation. I don't even want to get into an argument. When do we get to the point where we say, well, who cares?
I don't care.
No disrespect. Like, you're upset. Okay. Welcome to reality. I'm here to talk about it and process through it. But if you don't want to try to listen and understand and validate, you want to be miserable, I'm okay with that. I'm going to keep playing my games. I'm going to go to my workshop. I'm going to play with the kids. I'm going to go to the gym. My life is going to continue on. And you're going to be like, well, why isn't he coming to comfort me? No, why are you sticking yourself in that place
putting in a situation
when you had the opportunity to open up and share and talk? So long story short, it's not your job to make your woman, your wife, your girl. It's not your job to make her happy. That's her job. And let me also say this, Gordon, it's not her job to make you happy. So if you're sitting there miserable, like nobody cares, nobody loves me, no one's doing anything for me, oh, woe is me, you're doing all that, bro, stop. What makes me happy? You know what makes me happy? Going on and playing my favorite game, that makes me. Going to see a movie, that makes me happy. Going to the gym makes me happy. Hanging out with the guys makes me happy. You know what? Buying a Lego set and building, that makes me happy. Go make yourself happy. Go enjoy yourself.
Enjoy life.
That's your responsibility anyways. Anything you get from anybody else that makes you happy is a bonus, right? If you're that makes you happy,
I was just about to say,
it's a bonus. When your kids come and make you happy, that's a bonus. Your parents, your friends, that's a bonus. But it's your responsibility to make yourself happy. So take that pressure off of everybody else. Take that pressure off yourself. And I'm telling you, things are going to move so much smoother for you when you stop doing that and recognize, like, oh, shit, that's my job. Yeah.
But it takes a lot, because you got to understand, to make yourself happy, you have to have confidence. You have to have communication. You have to get over these emotional traumas. You have to have tools, basically. You need coaching. You know what I mean? You need people in your corner to hold you accountable on situations. Hey, bro, you kind of acting kind of strange. What do you mean by that? You're doing that thing again. You see what I'm saying? This is what we are going to be providing, because like Doc said, until you realize that whatever you do to make the other person happy and you seeking validation for a confidence level and respect that's never there, you will be in a black hole emotionally, financially, psychologically, all for nothing. Even for all the times that you're going to be doing all these things, right? that's not making you happy, will it make you happy? Then you start back at the starting line again and do the same cycle, the bullshit over and again. Even
Yeah.
when I tell my wife, all I do is watch behaviors. She goes, "Why do you do that?" Because that's all we did inside.
Mm-hmm.
Because we tell stories, the same stories. We watch people's behavior because we are on heightened alert because it
Mm-hmm.
affects our spidey senses because it's life and death.
Yeah.
So in that situation, another thing is, right, when you're looking at this modern man, they're trying to be happy and they want to have that bonus in it, that bonus person in their life. How would you pivot from that, from your side, right?
Oh,
Oh,
you said something, right? I love what you said, a bonus person in your life. We have to understand that, I think as men, we have to understand that for one, relationships take a tremendous amount of work,
absolutely.
like an insane amount of work. It can be, there's nothing more rewarding as well when a relationship
True.
goes well.
True.
Like be fully loved and understood and heard and have a safe space and be vulnerable and all that fun stuff. You can't get that anywhere else in the world. You can't pay for it.
You
You
can't
can't,
pay for it.
solicit it. You cannot get
Yep.
it anywhere else in the world, right? But again, you have to recognize it takes an immense amount of work, internal, personal work, and then work for you guys to come together in a relationship. But here's the thing, it's supposed to be a bonus. Whoever is coming into your life should be a bonus. As a matter of fact, Gordon, when it comes to confidence and it comes to a brotherhood, right? When you think about it, anyone who come if you're part of a brotherhood, it is a bonus. Everybody that's part of your circle is a bonus
Exactly.
in your life. They pour in, they build up. That's the mentality you have to have. And that's why simping is such a big issue, because you're not getting people who are pouring into your life. You're pouring out into everybody
They're
else,
taking.
and they're taking. When you're thinking that, oh, well, if I just keep pouring out, then eventually, and that's not how it works at all. It's not how it works. That everyone then becomes a liability, not an asset. Because guess what? A liability takes away from you, an asset pours into you. Right. So when we're looking for someone, if you're a man and you have that confidence and you have that, yourself and you validate yourself and your worth, then guess what? Anyone who bring you into your life, oh my gosh, it's going to be a massive bonus. Like I'm telling you, guys, when you do this the right way and you get a woman, beyond being it's beyond a bonus, right? You get a good woman who has a good head on her shoulders, who can communicate, who can get you and love you. Listen, this is
It's a
important,
beautiful thing.
Gordon. There's a reason why they say the most important business decision a man can make is who he decides to marry. Because when you get the right woman, she will exponentially bless your life. I'm talking
100.
about, yeah, I'm talking about 10 to the thousandth power, because it's in a woman's nature to
To do
amplify, nurture, and to boost and to build up. So it's a massive bonus, but you cannot make use of this bonus unless you are good with yourself. If
if
you're
you're not
not right, Gordon, it doesn't matter how great the woman is. If you're not right, there's nothing she can do for you. Because guess what? If you have zero, you can't multiply zero. Power is zero, right?
yeah,
So now you got this woman, this powerhouse who's like, hey, you put anything into me and I'm going to blow it up. And you're like, because I don't believe in myself. I don't love myself. I'm not confident in myself. I think I'm useless. I'm waiting for you to build me up and build me up constantly. And that's the only thing I can live off. I need everyone to build me up. She's like,
she'll go. She will leave if
yeah,
that.
I can't do anything for you. That's not my
You don't
job,
give her.
right?
You don't
That's,
give her
you know,
confidence. You don't give her masculine. You don't give her security. You don't give her this stuff. You don't get to turn that switch on. My wife provides a lot for me from what I did in the past, but she just told me that day. I know it's not gonna. This is not. I just sacrificed for now because you've done it for so long. I have a wife that does that. You mean we had a conversation? We might be struggling for a little bit, but I said it's temporary. It's like I'm like, it's not even a big deal. Like what? It's not a big deal.
and you've seen the stories, right? I don't know if you ever seen any of the court shows, and you hear these stories about these women that are with these guys that are just like bums, right? And it's
Yeah.
like she's working, she's taking care of the kids, she's building the guy up as much as she can. She's letting him use all her stuff. She's giving him money. She's doing the housework. She's doing literally everything. I'm not saying that's a good dynamic. What I
Right.
am saying is look at the capacity she has.
The cup and like nothing.
And imagine though, but imagine with the right guy. That's a woman's
Right.
capacity, right? And they could probably do more, right? Because they
Right.
do that a lot of times. They do it for a long time. They could probably do more. But imagine with the right guy. It's like if you put an expert driver behind the wheel of a race car, a NASCAR, an Indy car, a Bugatti, a Ferrari, whatever. You put an expert racer behind that thing is gonna. He can make that thing sing all
They
around
know how to do
everywhere.
it.
But now put someone who doesn't know how to drive in the driver's seat. They're dead
Yeah.
instantly. You can't do anything with that. So, guys, I say all this to say, because a lot of us, we want to be in relationships, and there's nothing wrong with that. I get that, right? Even Paul said, hey, it's better to marry than to burn, right? You know, however,
Never heard
bro,
that.
you want to make sure you are an expert driver before you hop into the vehicle that can exponentially take you where you want to go, right?
Correct.
Like if you can't drive the car, don't get in the seat. If you can't manage yourself, if you don't have the competency for yourself, the confidence for yourself, which is why we're here to help you get that. If you can't do that for yourself, you have no business at all talking to any woman, dating any woman, trying to have her as a bonus in your life, thinking that she's supposed to just provide for you. No, that's not how it's supposed to work. It's two people coming together, not one person coming to lift up the other person on their back and just carry them the whole time. That's not what it is, right? We're here to help you step into your role as a leader, provider, protector, to help build that confidence, help you find your authentic self, be your authentic self, and walk that out, right? That's what we're here to help you do. So you can be, and if you're in a relationship, we can turn that thing around so you can have that. So your woman can be like, oh, shoot, my man finally has arrived. I've been waiting for him to show
Yeah.
up. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Keith. I'm glad that my man went to Boundaries and Brotherhood. I'm glad he went to your workshop. I'm glad he did your assessments. I'm glad he did your stuff because now my man's finally showing up. And I really appreciate it. I don't like it sometimes, but he's the man I always knew he could be.
Yeah.
Because there's so many women out there like, oh man, I'm with my guy because of potential, right?
Yep.
But just imagine if we could pull that potential out of somebody and like, oh shoot, here I am. I'm Superman now.
There you go.
Superman
There
now.
you go.
Like that's what we're trying to get, to become the 11th man. Stop wandering around with the other 10. Your job is to pour out into everybody else and never pour back and never want anything. To get you from that group over there and to get you to this group over here where the 11th man, where he's like, no, I'm here. I know what I want. I know who I am. I'm confident with who I am. I'm not changing up for anybody. I can speak my mind. I can communicate clearly. I can stand up for myself. I have my boundaries. You can pull that out of you. You already have it in you. What we're going to do is pull it out.
Pull it out. Harness it.
It's already there, Gordon.
It's been there.
It's already there in you right now. It's already there. What we're going to do is we're going to dive in. We're going to pull it out of you. And you're going to be like, oh, shoot, I didn't know. Because
yes.
Gordon, we could all test this as well for especially guys that maybe before we had the confidence we had, glimpses of it came up. There were glimpses of when you had the boundaries. There were glimpses of when you stood up for yourself. It sparked here and there, but then life came and just buried it again. We're here to pull it all the way out and keep it out. The man you always wanted to be, the man you always knew you could be.
I'm going to end with that because I can't even imagine, like you said, how much men's lives can change by getting the knowledge to harness what's already inside them. Guys, we're going to end with that. If you need professional help, reach out to Dr. Keith Fairclough at Freedom Change Success. Watch out for the authority site. We do have a presentation, guys. If you want that presentation, leave us a comment, whether you're on any social media. It's a presentation with AI doc that will explain to you what we're going to be doing in the future, end of the month for the workshops coming to the summer. Gone are the days that we're just me talking. Workshops are here. Authority site is here. Presentation is here. PDFs is here. Boundaries and Brotherhood is about to kick off. And I want you to invite you for a free workshop at the end of the month so we can promise you what we're going to be delivering, what just Doc talked about. I'm Gordon Watt. Aloha from Boundaries and Brotherhood.
Dr. Keith Fairclough. You guys take care and put this stuff to good use. Don't just and then move on. Like put this stuff to good use, man.
Please. All right. Yeah. Aloha. Guys, bye.